Welcome back, guys, to episode 6 of the Versus series here. I got a new point of view attempt here. I know last time when I was doing point of view with my GoPro and stuff, people complained that it was too shaky, and that's because I sped up the video to make it go by quicker because it's like, 50-minute long videos, 40-minute long videos. So I decided to try a new approach to get a clear, crisp image with the chest mount here, and I figured we'd give it a try, and I feel like it works pretty well. A little bit more crystal clear on the cards. You can see what they are. The chest gives a little bit more stability, so it's not so shaky, because I do kind of move my head a lot. I'm not going to lie. Ever since my car accident, I do kind of like subconsciously twist my head or like crack my neck every now and then, just, out of habit. But I figured we would try it here, right? So the chest mount will provide a little bit more stability, and, we get some more up close. You get to see the hand a little bit better, which is what I think I really wanted to do with these type of, point of view matches. But lucky enough, we have a regional coming up this weekend, or excuse me, regional coming up. It's going to be this weekend. We're seeing my man throw down, and we're testing. He throws on Fine Mom, and I was like, sure, go ahead. And he's like, actually, I want to wait. And I was like, that's fine, no problem. Because he just knew I had a Stormforth, so I had Stormforth or whatever he sent. But Revolt pitching the Adia. And anyway, onto the regional. So at the point of this local testing, or this kind of testing I'm doing with my buddy Drayton here on Drake Hotel is, I think it's Tuesday. So, or no, it's Wednesday, and then we have the regional this weekend, which of course I'll be able to get some pictures, some clips, and stuff like that. Hopefully from the regional, some B-roll to that, so you guys will be able to keep that and post it. But I've been testing a particular list that I saw in the comment sections, and I've been really enjoying it. Playing Fua in the main, playing 2 Foolish Belly of Goods, and a Black Goat Laughs. And in my testing, it was actually able to come up quite a bit. I know some people, one of my commenters, was talking about he couldn't speak on behalf of Black Goat Laughs and Foolish Bear of Goods, but I really like it because it gives you the ability to get access to Pantheism. With Pantheism gets you access to access to Revolt, right? Revolt is full combo in the deck, so it just gives you essentially more copies of that, while also being good non-engine in a way, because you're able to send Black Goat Laughs, and then Black Goat Laugh can be used to call a certain monster to activate the effects. And, Black Goat Laughs is kind of bad to see, but, I mean, it's not terrible, you know what I mean? It's okay seeing it. And we see him fusing off Faimama with a Faimama and a Famina, for those who don't, if you guys are new to the channel, I make jokes about some of the names. So, Famina and Famina and a Shadal Dragon to go ahead and fuse into this Shadal, and I was just reading it. It only stops if, it can negate a spell or trap that would summon a monster, and I just go and activate Stormforth. We'll just go ahead and get rid of Stormforth here, call it good, because we're going to be able to Stormforth away the monster you just summoned, which I don't know, maybe hindsight, I'm thinking, I think I had this playing through to where you can defeat Arthelion and bounce a card. I was going to be able to banish the Revolt to summon down the, whatchamacallit, the Tessera anyway. So, it was just kind of a... We're in a good spot no matter what. But this is probably the last bit of IRL testing I'm going to get before the regionals comes up, which is alarming, and it's just sadly that's how my work schedule worked out. Every day we push and push to try and become a full-time YouTuber, man. But until that day, I still have to work my obscene nursing hours, and it just comes up. So anyway, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 3, Erebus is going to shuffle back to Arthelion, Erebus will resummon itself, and then, of course, I'd also come back. A cool thing I will talk about when we get to kind of, run through the deck list and stuff like that, which I'll do the final deck list in person. I ended up fixing up my man cave a little bit, studio, if you'll call it, so I can do a little bit more, top-down in-person duels, which is what I'm pretty excited to bring to the channel here, especially utilizing new decks. I want to do a more in-depth match with the Black Rose deck. I want to, if you're not a member, think about becoming a member and hit that join button, ding that notification, all that fine stuff. Members get to choose what deck I decide to do for the Versus series, and I think you have to wait and see, but the members have voted, and if you want to cast your vote. But we end up summoning Thestalos, ripping the Super Poly from his hand. Still, dude, I'm still on Thestalos. I just love Thestalos, man. We're going to get to Erebus to pitch the Pantheism in her hand to add itself back. We're going to banish the... the Eidos to go ahead and summon out the Adia. And I was noticing, oh, I think I goofed. I think I went out of sequence with my normal summons. So yeah, I think I went out of sequence here. So I summoned back the Adia, and I was like, uh-oh. So I've already used Adia's effect to... No, I haven't. Wait a second. I don't think I used Adia's effect to summon from the deck, so I got to summon out another test right here. But I ended up banishing, so I ended up going... So it was my 3 normal summons was Erebus, Thestalos, Erebus. So we're going to rip that last card from his hand. I see where I messed up, actually. I ended up using the search inappropriately here. Or I didn't dump, I was thinking that I could get a Domain to the graveyard, banish it with the Prime, and then use the D to add back, but I catch here that I already added back with the D. I added back Pantheism early in the turn, so I was like, well, I better hope that you draw nothing. I better hope this is what I hand loop you for all your cards, and I hope that you don't draw like one Ketu and just, well, even with Ketu, right? It'd have to be something else. So I have Monarch Perfection too, so I think I was kind of like over worried there, but we're going to wrap it up here and go on into game number 2. So game number 2 takes underway. Let's see what we get in our opening hand. It looks like I have Eidos, Stormforth, Tessera, Stormforth, and a Revolt. Okay, so this is, seeing Revolt's awesome, but we see a fire off of Ketu here from my opponent Drayton. I end up reaching over, just grabbing myself my drink. I'm noticing that this is kind of at an angle, and I don't know if I can fix the angle. Like, I don't know if you guys can see it from maybe I should just turn my head, but I mean, it's not too super. I thought that was an angle, but we're going to see Ketu add the Urgula, and then assuming, like, he's going to probably go Rahu here. Using Rahu to fusion off the Urgula and the Famama to go ahead and go into Arthurion, and then Arthurion can bounce back. Can bounce back both, maybe? Or bounce back the Famama. We just see a set 1 and a pass. Okay, interesting. So we draw Talents. Talents is awesome. That is such a crazy. And I guess that's also, I have 9 spaces for non-engine in this deck. So technically I have Call by, Foolish, Talents. Then I have 3 Fuwas, and then I have the Black Ghost Laughs and stuff. So he goes Ash Blossoms. I decides to go Talents. Look at the hand. He's like, okay, Chain 5 Mama. So he's going to fuse everything away because I'm going to get to look at his hand anyway. So this is kind of like what I was thinking. My hand is decent enough because I can get access to the Eidos because of whatever he fusion summons out. I'm not super worried about. Because I have Tessera to summon out with Revolt, Tribute Summon for Eidos. Eidos can then grab me, Aether, Erebus. I can shuffle back whatever he did. So I've really had pretty good matchup here. So he ends up using Arthurion to target his 2 cards to bounce back. So he bounce back. So I know he has Nib. Got to remember and fear the Nib. I go Stormforth. Go ahead and tribute off his Arthurion. So there's summon number 1. Use the effect of the Eidos to go ahead and add. I don't know what his set card is, right? So it could be a Horn and stuff like that, but which would be pretty. I was thinking, wow, a Horn would be kind of pretty big here. So we're going to add the Erebus, banishing Revolt to summon out the Tessera. I could have arguably used Tessera's effect and then like been smarter that way, right? So I summon the Tessera. I would activate Tessera's effect to immediately normal summon. Here we go. Erebus touches down. I go Chainlink 1 Erebus, Chainlink 2 Tessera. And then I go Chainlink 3, the Erebus again. Yep, so there we go, Erebus, yeah, to add back the hand. I very seldom add it back to hand, but this is an instance where I want to because I'm going to be able to dump Pantheism, or dump, what is it? I'm going to be able to dump the, what's the, oh yeah, dump Pantheism because I can reveal in the Prime, yeah. So I can go Pantheism, reveal 3, searched, yeah, I pretty much have them cooked here, actually. So that's summon 1, summon 2, summon 3, summon 4. And I think I go ahead and use the effect here to go out and summon number 5. Because I want him to nib me. I want to go and get that nib out of his hand. Because I can battle over nib. With the Pantheism, I can banish 3. So he goes ahead and I go Chainlink 1, mandatory Chainlink 1, Eidos to go ahead and get an additional normal summon or tribute summon this turn. He goes ahead and throws off the nib. There we go. Eats my board up. I go ahead and use Adia effect to add back the Revolt. And then I think I go banish. Let's see here. Yeah, banish Pantheism. I should, like I said, I should reveal 3 Tenacity. That should be the call. 3 Tenacity so I can search. Yeah, so I just revealed 3. I was just going to show, I have the 3 in the deck, but, just since we are testing, just try to get, public. So he gives me which one. I go ahead and take that Tenacity. I'll go ahead and reveal Tenacity, or activate Tenacity, revealing the Eidos to go ahead and search. I don't know if I search for... yeah, go ahead and grab Domain. That's what he was asking me. He's like, am I losing my token already? And I'm like, no, you're not losing your token. We'll go ahead and activate the Erebus, pitching the Revolt, add back Erebus. We're going to activate Domain. Domain effect to reduce the Erebus. And then I will go ahead and use the Eidos normal summon for turn to go ahead and normal summon out the Erebus, dump 2, shuffle back the... I think I go for... So I got to shuffle back... I guess it really doesn't matter, right? I shuffle back either Nib or Arthurion, and then I whack over the other one because I have a Tribute Summon monster. And then he has Ash in hand, right? So it's a pretty good Situate here. Especially, Dracotel, just for me, I feel like Dracotel is such an easy matchup. I just don't feel like they do a lot. So he ends up setting Ash Blossom, I think, here. He sets it. I draw the Foolish Barrier of Goods, which I'm like, oh, well, great. This is a little Little late, but I mean, it's not terrible, like technically speaking. There's the Eidos. Summon out the Idea. Idea will summon out Tessera. And this is, I've been on like the new, you guys will see in the deck profile here. I'll go ahead and tribute summon, I think. Or activate Tessera to immediately tribute summon, go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, grab back Pantheism, and then of course this Eidos lets me search for another copy of Erebus to go ahead and seal the deal. We'll go ahead and shuffle back the set card. Hopefully we'll go ahead and set back the set card. So I should just go Domain, reduce this Erebus, tribute the Tessera, and just, yeah, there we go. That's, yep. Domain, reveal, tribute summon over the Tessera, which should be, yeah, so he's already pushing the Tessera. I was like, no, wait a minute, I might not want to just use the one, which I don't know what I'm thinking here. Like, again, in the moment, you know, we're at locals testing, so yeah. So we're just going to tribute Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, yep. And that wraps it up here for this local match. All right, guys, so we're back at home now, and I got a few little updates to tell you guys. So I ended up waking up the other day at like 6:30 in the morning. I spent a really late night, and I don't know if you guys are familiar, but like old homes, I use like gas heat. My carbon monoxide alert went off, and I had to call the gas company and everything. So my house is a little bit cold here in the fall, but that's not going to stop us. But I wanted to come in and showcase you guys the new studio, the new setup, and then I wanted to go ahead and like show you an IRL deck profile right before the regional, and then we'll just jump to like the B-roll and everything of going to the regional the day of, and hopefully we're going to be able to secure our top with Monarchs, or at least do fair enough with it. Like the end goal should always be doing well with the deck. I mean, of course, realistically, we want to get the invite right, but it is what it is. But anyway, let's go ahead and hop on over in here into the studio. All right, guys, here's the studio. Just got done editing the point of view. I hope you guys enjoyed that part. Let me know. It's a whole chest rig, so it's pretty cool. But this is where kind of the magic happens. But this is what I was talking about over here. So I finally, let me zoom out here so you guys can see. Oh, it's not gonna let me zoom out. That is lame. But yeah, so you guys can see here, I got a table here. I have the a new downward facing camera so we can get like, you know, top down facing duels. If you've been a member for a little bit, I've been putting these out for members and stuff. I've been having a little issue with technology. The camera's been blinking or something like that. Comment down below if you guys know why that would be, a connection issue. But yeah, we'll hopefully be bringing some more like, you know, like content in the sense of showing more duels and stuff. Like I want to come here to the table and I want to show, you know, other decks and other strategies and everything like that. Especially, I know like Red Black Rose just like top to regional. I have two buddies who literally have Black Rose, so I want to bring you guys some pretty cool stuff that way. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump on into the deck profile. All right, here we are, the final deck profile before the regionals. I'll talk about a few maybe like slight minor changes I might make to the list. Considering me and my buddy Caleb have talked about a few things, so I might make it a little bit, but this is going to be the last deck profile for the Versus series, and then if, you know, I play the deck again and update it, they'll probably come out to be some more stuff like that. So this is the deck I've had a lot of success with. I've had a lot of success on Yugioh Omega with this deck. I think I've gone currently like, gosh, I don't know, like 7-0 with this list, playing against K9, Yummy, one or two Mitsurugi, I think two Mitsurugi. I've been very fortunate. And once you get down the sequencing and stuff playing through it, it comes pretty well. I've actually have a few games, which I'll probably do like a huge Omega replay collab thing where we'll go and look through all the replays that I've been just mentioned about and show you the replays and stuff like that, so you guys can see how important like cards like the Stalos and stuff I feel like are. But this is the final deck list for the regional coming this weekend, which is exactly in, let's see, today is Wednesday, or Wednesday, 1, 2, 3, 3 more days. So we'll jump on into it here. I took a lot of inspiration from players in the community. There, at the making of this video, there was a guy who won an entire regional with Monarch. A huge shout out to him. I'll have like kind of the Facebook post up here so you guys can see it. He ended up winning with it, and I've just been waiting for his deck list to drop to see it. I've heard different things. I've heard he was on some crazy sauce, some crazy goo. I've even heard that he was playing the Dogmatica package, which is something that I'm very interested in. I love Nadir Servant ever since I've played Necros, so I'm very anxious to see his deck list. So without further ado, here's what I plan to take. I am on to the 3 Aether. If you guys remember the first episode of the Versus series, I was on 3, went back, and now we're back to 3. This card, one of my commenters really highlighted this card for me, in the sense of this card is pretty crazy in conjunction with like Stormforth. In the worst case scenarios, it's able to keep your domain lock live. It's able to get your ball rolling. It's a starter because if you tribute summon it, you get access to Eidos from the deck, which then allows you to get access to domain or perfection. It is not a hard once per turn, so if you can continually tribute summon with it, you know, like you could have one. If you open it, it's pretty good. Like I said, in conjunction with Stormforth, it is a very solid disruption during your opponent's turn, which I think is pretty cool. We are no longer playing Sealer Glare, which I think maybe there could be room to play, but there was just so many times that I would see Sealer Glare by itself and it wouldn't do anything outside of maybe getting some things going, and like you're just not able to get Sealer Glare back into rotation. Well, you are with Erebus. You're able to get it back to hand, but you're not able to get it back into deck that you can use with Aether. There is something someone commented below, which I want to acknowledge, is that someone was saying that they played Karaz from like the 2015, 2016 Monarchs, and to me, I was like, I don't want to play Karaz because like I don't want to pop my opponent's cards as a form of disruption to end up giving them more cards to play, right? But he said that for the most part, he's popping his own cards to draw more cards, so you get into more stuff, which I do not know if that's like a correct play to do. I do not know if that's like worth it, but I do miss, I really liked Karaz. I think Karaz is a beautiful card. Worst case scenario, at the very worst, it can essentially be a disruption for you to bring out with your Aether, but until then, the only card we're bringing out with Aether is another Erebus to either get back to her hand, another copy of itself to tribute some during the opponent's turn, or Eidos to get her plays going. I think this has stayed true since I've done the deck list. To Erebus. This card is pretty insane with cracking boards, and going first, you start hand looping your opponent. This is the Spray and Pray, and for the final Mega Monarch, we're playing one Thestalos. Thestalos is your sniper. A lot of people play Zaborg, but I think Zaborg is redundant in a deck that you're already trying to lock them out of the extra deck with. I think that, you know, you're in extra decks or so with Mitsurugi running around, you're just going to look at an extra deck, and it's not going to do you any good. You know what I mean? So I just feel like Thestalos looking at the hand, hitting down those board breakers, those hand traps, shuffling back combo or discarding combo pieces is really good, and then you can follow up with 1 to 2 Erebus, and then you just spray and pray. So Thestalos is your sniper. You snipe the hand, and then Erebus goes bam, 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 and just sprays and hits anything else, right? So then your opponent has technically 2 cards in their hand, or 3 cards in their hand, or if they've hand trapped you, they have none. Like if you guys saw it before the Draco Tail match, he like threw, I think, 2 hand traps at me and then fused away, and then I just shuffled his entire hand back with like Erebus and Thestalos. So, but this is it. I really do like this card. I think this card is literally one of my favorite Monarchs for sure. It could be that it's a fire, you know, and like Infernoble runs through my veins still, but I just really enjoy this card. Hand knowledge is so key, and I feel like it's more important than even extra deck knowledge, you know what I mean? Because there's just so many strategies out there that sometimes don't utilize it. Yes, I understand that sometimes you resolve Zaborg, you win because extra deck reliant decks can't play, but I would rather, you know, and you get knowledge too from the extra deck, but I would just rather have all my bases covered. I feel like this does even better because sometimes you can't hit all their cards in their extra deck, and if you're not familiar with the matchup, you might choose the wrong ones, or you might leave them just enough to solve some things. But I also didn't like the fact that Zaborg took the monster away, so like most of the time you're using Zaborg target itself, so you remove your Tribute Summon monster, so then it makes your other 2 win conditions, which could be like Domain or the Monarch's Perfection or Erupt if you're playing it, dead unless you have like the ability to Tribute Summon or get a body out. And I just felt like playing into hand traps and into like non-engine, like Zaborg wasn't going to cut it, whereas Thestalos literally does the same thing as Erebus does. Like if they hand trap Thestalos with Imperm or something like that, it's done its job, right? You've ripped the Imperm out of the hand. But most importantly, I've ripped Super Polys, I've ripped Droplets, I've ripped Dark Rulers with this card. I think that not really Dark Ruler does anything to the deck, but like ripping those cards is just pretty crazy in my opinion. Also, sometimes seeing your demise is really kind of like nice. You can look at the hand and you see the hand, you're like, well, I can't, you know, he has every out because he's better than me. Scoop it up going into the next game. No need to wait so you don't take a double loss. Moving on to the level 6 Monarchs, Triple Eidos. I think this card is pretty self-explanatory. You should probably play 3. No, you shouldn't play one of it. Just 2 to 3 is correct. I think 3 is the correct number, but you could definitely in a world cut it down to 2 if you want to, but this card is just so good. It searches out any of your combo pieces, any of your Floodgates, any of your Monarchs. Something cool to note, if you do resolve Revolt and they droll you with Revolt, thanks to Aether and or Erebus, since you do dump to Grave, you're able to get your other stuff like in rotation pretty easy because this can add from deck or grave, which means it can be belled and ashed, which stinks, but it's okay because it lets you play under droll. So even a few times where the first action I do is like resolve Revolt and they droll me, and so I tribute summon out either Erebus, hand loop them, dump Domain plus like Prime or something like that, and then I will bring back the Eidos from the graveyard. So Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, Eidos grab back the card that I dumped off of the Erebus, so I grab back Domain, activate Domain, pass turn. So it gets you to your win conditions underneath droll, which is really nice. And then for the final 2, 1 Caius, which I will hopefully be. These are the last cards I need to get in Starlight and QCR. So hopefully at this region I'll be able to pick up these cards. And Majesty's Fiend. As long as decks like Fire King, Mitsurugi, Mermail exist and are played, I think Majesty just needs to stay in the main deck for sure. I know some people talk about playing Vanities, and some people bounce that or, you know, live by Vanities, but I have not missed Vanities once. In fact, every time I play Vanities and I sided in, I ended up breaking on multiple Vanities. Vanities, you would just like it does what the deck. I mean, like your opponent can't special summon, but it just loses to everything. Whereas like your opponent can't imperm Domain, your opponent can't imperm Perfection, but your opponent can imperm both like Vanities and stuff like that. But I just feel like by adding in those bigger tribute summon names, you're lowering your consistency, and then you just end up bricking more. And it's like, cool, I established Vanities. You get cooked by droplets and or imperm. I'd rather just have a more consistent deck being able to establish like Majesty plus one of the other win conditions, which is literally the trap or Domain. So that way they have like to get around two things, you know what I mean? One imperm won't cook me, and it, you know. But anyway, both these cards are searchable via Master Plan. Caius is here because of the Master Plan Prime Disruption. I've been bouncing between like normal Zaborg, but I just think it's okay. I think this deck has a okay Yummy matchup when going first anyway. Going second though, that's where like the side deck needs to be worked on, and I'll show you guys my current side deck and like what I'm thinking, and I'll maybe talk about what I finally decide on. But anyway, that's it for the level 6 Monarchs. Nothing more can be said here. Under the Squires, 3 Teresa, 1 Edea, 1 Eidos. I cut these guys down, and first I was really skeptical. I was like, oh no, my grind game. But then I realized that if you play 2 of these, if you went 3, 2, 2, you're going to see them in your hand a little bit more, and you really don't want to see these guys in your hand. But if you end up seeing any of the ones in your hand, you have the ability to work around it with like Revolt and stuff like that. But I think this is a good ratio. I would like to maybe try the Fire one. I know there's also that Steel String Sacrifice, which I'm not a big fan of that card. I mean, actually, I take that back. I like everything the card does effect-wise. I just hate that it's literally not a Monarch card. Like, should have made it like a Squire in the armor or something, you know. But I really want to also try, it's the Fire Vassal, because it allows you to, like, also look at the hand and rip a card. So it allows you to the end phase, but it also is a discard outlet, so you can discard cards like the Pantheism and stuff. Because sometimes, in some certain hands, I'll just open Pantheism by itself and no spell or trap to get it to the graveyard. But if you happen to play that Squire, you open it, you can pitch it, and then like you're off to the races. You got ability to tribute summon, you get to look at the hand. So there is a world where maybe I'll test that Squire in the future. I'll try and fit it in. I think I'm currently at a 42 card deck list right now, but that's as consistent as I can like get it, and a 40, you know, as close to 40 as I could get it with doing the cuts and trying to play the most appropriate non-engine. But yeah, I forget his name. I think it's Berthalius or something like that. Something with a B. I'll try to remember to put it up here so you guys can see it. Yeah, it's a pretty cool card, especially in conjunction with the Stalos. You're able to like hand loop with the Stalos. If you're able to get to it first, which you can via like the Squire. But the thing is, it doesn't give you an additional normal, which is what like is so good. It's just like an additional body that if you can get out or get into rotation, like open it or get it out. You know, if you already opened certain names and stuff, you're able to get that extra hand knowledge and banish something like the Minstrel does for Mermails. But again, only time will tell. At worst case, man, it does allow you to pitch it, tribute summon for Eidos. Eidos searches you Revolt. Revolt then gets these guys in rotation. Once Tessera is in rotation, you get access to the other 2 Squires, and then like you get your other 2 tribute summons and normal summons for the deck, you know. So, but yeah, not much more to be said. I did not really miss the grind. Essentially, you don't want to. If when you were playing double Eidos, you could use Eidos a little bit more fruitiously, fruitiously, however you pronounce it. But you could banish. You just hold this for the follow up because you just since you only play one Dia, you banish this. You summon out a Dia summons out the Tessera, whereas this would normally bring you back, but you essentially, it's the same scenario is what I'm trying to say, is that the follow-up is exactly the same because you're getting access to Tessera to give you that additional normal, whereas before you would use this to summon out the Edea from grave. Edea would grab the second Eidos and stuff like that, but yeah, it's just, I've not missed, these 5 names are pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. I've not really missed the other 2, the other Edea and the other Eidos. But moving on to the spell and traps, which is a big chunk, as you guys can see, that's a pretty chunk of monsters here. For Monarchs, that's the biggest downside of this deck is the lack of non-engine space, so we try to cram it as much as we can here to get what we can. Triple Pantheism, I would say Pantheism is the best, if not the second best card in the deck. Draw 2, banish to search out 3. Your opponent gives you 1, the other 3 go to deck. Not a once per turn on the draw, so you're able to dig for your sideboard and stuff like that. Triple Tenacity, literally any copy, as long as you open it with a Monarch. This deck is literally a 2-card combo deck, in the sense that the closest 1-card combo we have is Revolt, and it's a 1.5. But that's okay. We've seen 2.2 card combo decks and 1.5 card combo decks do well in the past. But anyway, Tenacity searches out any of your spell and traps by revealing a Monarch stat monster. This is arguably the best card in the deck, in my opinion. If it rivals Pantheism, if not better, just because it literally is the access to Squires and Monarchs. That's the biggest issue the deck has had. I've done a few videos talking about this card, and I've talked about it in other episodes, that this card right here is just redonkulous. It bridges both Squire and Monarchs, which allows you to get access to both in one card, which is really cool. And normally the discard, especially if you discard Pantheism, doesn't matter, it replaces itself. If you discard Eidos, it's like an ideal. You discard any of the Squires. Well, I'll take that back. If you discard, like, Eidos is like the worst Squire, you probably wouldn't discard Eidos unless you have to. but you probably, discard Tessera, discarding like an India to be able to grab back like a Banished Pantheism, to be able to like draw 2, was pretty nice. But this card also allows you to banish it from the graveyard to summon a Squire stat monster from your hand, which is really nice as well. 3 Stormforth. I've seen some lists play 1, I've seen some lists play 2, and like the only current list that we've seen are that do well at OCG, minus the one that won the Rochester Regional. We haven't seen his list yet, so until then, I think if you're playing any number of 2 or more Aether, I think you should just play 3 Stormforth. It also can count as non-engine as well, just because, even though it's engine, but it's non-engine, when you know you're going first, you know that just side out 2, so it gives you like easier side out patterns, whereas like if the dice roll is controllable, so if you're just like me and you're going to lose a few dice rolls, almost all your dice rolls, you'd rather have a card like Stormforth, which is just good going second in your deck list. But double master plan, I ended up getting 1 super from the OTS pack. I almost said Astral pack, that's why I stuttered over there for a second. I was like, Astral pack, no, OTS pack. 29. This card is really good. It dumps any Monarch name. If it's banished, is what gives you the ability to conduct a normal summon by using this card. If it gets banished by either Aether can also trigger it. Prime, it just anything per perfection banishes it. You're able to target a monster opponent controls, add a 2400 1000 attack stat monster with the same attribute, and then if you control or have in your hand, if you have in your hand any of the original monarchs by name, Caius, Ryza, Zaborg, all that type of stuff, Gremerge, I forget the water one already, oh goodness, Mobius, you're able to immediately normal summon. So it gives you disruption during your opponent's turn, it gives you a disruption going second, especially when you get these cards into the graveyard after resolving maybe 1 Erebus, you shuffle back 1 of their cards, then you dump this plus the Prime. Prime banishes this, you target their dark, search Caius, then you immediately normal summon Caius, target, banish, and you just go off to the races there. And for the final spell card, which is right here, is the 1 Domain. This, Domain's pretty insane. Even in the decks the lists that play an extra deck, you play Domain just because of the reduction, and the reductions of the level is really nice. And then to the 2 traps, we have Perfection and Monarch. I really like Perfection over Erupt, even though Erupt is kind of crazy. It's a skill drain, but I like Perfection just because it gives you more coverage. It's still going to be a blowout card just like Erupt does, and things like that. I actually had I think Erupt works very similar to skill drain, where if they're able to get it off the field, it resolves Engrave, so they can still do some crazy stuff that way. So Perfection just checks a lot of things, especially against those matchups that I just mentioned where you need Majesty's Fiend. Your main goal should be getting to Perfection plus Majesty's Fiend, so that way Perfection is just able to keep sniping off anything they solve to be able to check the Majesty's Fiend. And the card is just crazy. You dump so many spell and traps to the graveyard, you're going to be able to resolve 6 effects on this card, which is all of them are disruptions in their sense. So I do wish one thing is that it didn't have your opponent to have to special summon. You could just fire them off whenever, but I mean, it maybe would be a little bit too crazy then. Here we are to the non-engine. These last feeble 9 cards are 3 Fuwa, which me and my buddy Caleb talked. These might, and I mean it very, these might get changed out for Perilia, just because that my roughest matchup is literally those cards, those decks I told you that don't use an extra deck too much, or that they can out the extra deck block pretty easy, such as Mermail, Mitsurugi, and Fire King. Perilia cooks all those decks, but Perilia also is really good against Yummy, and it's not so good against, Draco Tail, but I found that, if you foo a Draco Tail, they're only giving you 1 to 2 draws, whereas if you Perilia them, you maybe get 1 to 2 draws anyway. If they summon from the hand, you know what I mean? They normal summon, you get a draw, so, they kind of break even. This would just, Perilia would potentially cover more matchups, I feel like, so that might get changed out moving forward for a Perilia. So, the card has done phenomenal. I just feel like you need some sort of draw card, and I do agree that this card into Fire King, this card into Mitsurugi does terrible. You can get maybe 1 draw off Mitsurugi. You're not going to get maybe get a draw off of the thing. Whereas Perilia, they would summon from the hand at least. They give you 1 or 2 at least, right? So it's just better. I don't know. We'll just probably change it and run with it and see how it goes. This is the other engine that I was talking about, Black Goat Laughs, and the Foolish Burial of Goods. This card is really good. This package is really good going first and going second, because it gives you access to engine. Also, if you already have access to engine, you dump the Black Goat Laughs, which gives you an extra layer of disruption. Black Goat Laughs is another brick in the deck, but it's not that terrible. You can set it and support your board, or you can pitch it off of cards like Revolt, right? You get it to the graveyard pretty easy, and Revolt's insanely searchable in the deck. This card does let you get access to engine by dumping Pantheism, by dumping Prime, by dumping anything you really want. It's a worse version of Master Plan, but at the same time, it's more flexible, I feel like, in Master Plan. But Black Goat Laughs is, I think, pretty crazy. I've actually been able to resolve this a few times. You literally start your turn. When you're going second, you dump this card, and then you banish and call a card's name, and then you're pretty off to the races. Also, Black Goat's Laugh, activating it, and then you declare Mirakumo when you know that you're going into Mitsurugi, and then they can't like nuke your board, and that's the only way they out your like lock, or they out your like Majesty's Fiend, is like hard ritual summon Murakumo from deck or graveyard, or deck or hand. It's pretty crazy. But this is like a good card to side out for better cards, essentially. This is like a flexible card with going first or going second. And then when you know what you're going against in the post side, you can easily side it out for like more impactful cards and stuff like that. And when you know you're going first, you can side out this card if you need to. But finally, for the last three, we have a trinity of one-ofs, Call By, Talents, and Foolish Burial. These cards can also come out. That's non-engine. Of course, these cards are like, the deck shines when going first. These cards help with going first, and going Talents can help with going second. All these cards are like very versatile and going first or going second, I would say. Foolish Burial can dump any card. It can dump Erebus, dump Eidos, dump your Tessera, whatever you need to get to the graveyard. So that is it for the main deck. No extra deck because we're on Domain Monarchs, so that means no extra, which makes this a pretty quick profile. I'll showcase you guys my side deck, which is subject to change, which I have like a big chunk of side deck cards here. This will all be cleared out, of course, before we get to what we're talking about here, but I want to go ahead and discuss my side deck. So I want to fit in 3-dimensional barrier because, like I said, my worst matchup is rituals, essentially. Mitsurugi, so this right here can check the ritual aspect of Mitsurugi. This right here can check the Draco Tail. I can be decent against Yummy, even though if I go first, I'm not, this essentially D-barrier, in my opinion, against extra decks is just something to go into where if they keep me from getting to domain and they can't out domain, it's just another security insurance, how you'll put it. I think Solemn Scolding, because you're going first, they're going to put in those blowout cards like Storms, Dusters, Regekis, you name it. They're going to be able to put those in. I know one of my buddies lives and breathes by March, but I don't think March is necessary. I think that any good player, if you set up your domain lock, they're not going to call monsters and destroy your stuff. They're going to call spell and traps, and that's like the most cited card is Lightning Storm. So just having something to check Lightning Storm is Scolding. If you set Stormforth or you set your Perfection on top of this, you just activate them in the draw phase, just so you can go ahead and establish the Tribute Summon with Stormforth, and you have the face-up card. This card just has to be the only set card in your Spell and Trap card zone, and yeah. Evenly is not in here. Evenly might come out for these, but I have Lightning Storms and a Harpy's Feather Duster. This could just be 3 Lightning Storms, 3 Soul Exchange, and then 3 Forbidden Droplets. And the reason I'm playing Droplets over maybe like something like Evenly, because of Branded Draco Tail has seen a lot of play, and I actually encountered it online. I got Edo locked, and I had no way to out it. Drew both Lightning Storm and Evenly, and I had no way to out Edo. And I just don't want to do that. Whereas this card is also very good at going second, because I can go Stormforth, pitch, activate Stormforth, chain Droplet, pitch 2 cards, pitch Eidos, pitch Tessera, pitch the Stormforth, etc. Hit 2 cards and negate them, and then, you know what I mean? It's just a very flexible card for going second, and it's a good, for when you go second, I secondly have 6 cards to go in, and when I know I'm going first, I have 9 cards to go in when I'm going second, 6 cards to go in when I'm going first. I think that's a pretty good amount, and I think, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, this is 15. I really like this side deck. Online, this side deck has worked phenomenal. Maybe a Dimensional Barrier is definitely one of those where like you potentially put in something like Sales Ban and call like Droll and Lockbird or something like that to ensure that you don't lose to Droll, or you lose to certain cards. But I have just found that even if you call Droll and Lockbird, they hit you with Ash in perm throughout your combo sequence, you're not going to be able to establish, like you might be able to get to like Majesties by itself, one or the other, right? But then the Mitsurugi matchup just blows you out of the water. Same with Mermail. Like if you just need to have something in the sense of like to be decent, and Dimensional Barrier is a little bit better than Salesman in my opinion, because in those scenarios where when you go first, you eat a few hand traps, they deny you a few things, at least, I can fire off D-Barrier and call, XYZs from Mermails, and then like, okay, cool, or Synchros from Mermails, you know what I mean? And then they have to like out the rest of the board, which they can do. I mean, like literally, Prince outs the entire domain lock, which is kind of wild. The Atlantean Prince does that. But against Mitsurugi, which has seen a lot more prevalent play, because it's an insane engine, has little restrictions, that deck is just kind of wild, you know what I mean? It's just able to go... you just frame 1, activate D-Barrier, and it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? You get a turn, and you're set, because I don't think, if I remember correctly, they have no quick way to ritual during your turn, right? So they can do whatever they want. You domain lock them, you Majesty lock them. They can't summon down Mirakumo. They can't battle over it. You get a turn, you're all right. So, yeah, so this is it. Like I said, I haven't put together yet, so I haven't traded out the Dimensional Barriers to Evenlies, but this should be my side deck going into the event.
All right, guys, so here we are. I think it's like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Just got back from work, and we're going to sleeve up, do our deck list, and yeah, I figured I'll show this. Use this opportunity to show you guys, just play the B-roll, and then we'll talk about the ban list, the E-ban list that just dropped today. I was actually at work, could not, bring it up. So yeah, let's just go ahead and jump on into it. All right, guys, so just re-sleeving the deck here, getting these grimy oversleeves off, and essentially, while I was at work today, the emergency ban list just dropped. At the time you guys are probably seeing this, it's a little bit after, and we had to play in the regional with these, cards. They're still not banned, but for the most part, I'll have the ban list up here real quick on the screen for you guys, and it's just an emergency forbidden of Arch Nemesis Protos, Artifact Millennier, Barrier Statue of the Drought, Barrier Statue of the Inferno, Fossil Dyna, and the Evil Storm Ouroboros, and Dimensional Barrier. So these are all amazing hits, guys. So I made a comment for you guys out there. I was like, if they were going to use this opportunity to hit the barrier statues, these two, even though I understand they're searchable and stuff, they might as well went ahead and hit all of them. I think that they're all potentially going to cause problems, right? But either way, if you guys don't know, the same cards you would search with the Pyro Banshee to search out the Nemesis flag, which would search out Protos. It's a band-aid, right? So they literally hit the direct cards and hit the band-aids that would come after it, which is really awesome. The Millenniar's gone for the Millenniar lock, which is insane. That's like now gone. It's awesome. I actually can say I safely never got once Millenniar locked. Great. Fossil Dyna, I know Mitsurugi was doing like some crazy things with this, along with using Gallant Granite. That's why the Barrier Statue of Drought, same concept, right? Detach, instead of searching this, you search Drought, normal summon it. Mitsurugi's gotcha. And then Evil Storm Ouroboros, that card was kind of wild. I think Eclipse Twins was probably the more culprit to hit, but I mean, it is what it is. And then, Dimensional Barrier, finally. I think the Barrier should have gone a long time ago, man. Like, nobody should flip a card that says, like, you win the game just by flipping it. You open D-Barrier, so you automatically win against a mono strategy, like a fusion strategy. But yeah, that's the ban list, guys. I was really pleased. Like, it's happy to know that Konami is listening finally, and, yeah, so thank you guys. Stay tuned for some B-roll. Well, guys, here we are. Back home from the regional, and we did not do so well as I thought we were going to do. So with that being said, let's go ahead. I want to talk about a few things about it. We ended up going X3, getting only one win, and there's a variance is a huge thing, so I want to talk about that. But there's also just, I don't know, like it's one of those things where every game I like to evaluate how I win and how I lose, and I decided to overlook these, or not even look into these wins and stuff. So of course, we took Monarch, and the deck performed all right. I would say, so I won one die roll. So let's go ahead and go through my matchups real quick. So I had round one was literally Blue Eyes. That was my only win through the day. I won. That was the only dice roll I won. Round two was against Vanquish Soul Canine. Round three was against Labyrinth. Round four was against RB. Let's go ahead and go match the match. So round one, win the die roll against Blue Eyes. I go first. I hand loop him for 3, establish domain, cook him. Game two, I end up cooking him because I see my side deck, and that's pretty much all it is. A swift 2-0 there, right? But we move on to the Vanquish Soul Canine. And that was round two. Man, I gotta tell you, I lost a dice roll, and as soon as I saw what he was on, I felt really very unconfident, I should say, because Vanquish Soul Canine and literally a lot of other decks are a few that I'm fearful of out there, because Monarch struggles against those decks because the easiest win condition is always domain. So then if it's not domain, you have to kind of work just slightly a little bit harder to get to like Majesty or stuff like that. So then, needless to say, he goes full combo. I go second into his field. My opening hand, I can't remember exactly, but it was Stormforth, Black Goat Laughs, and Revolt. Was the 3 cards for sure. I had 3 other cards I can't remember. We end up discarding the Black Goat Laughs off of the Revolt, and then after that, the deck had quite some interesting interactions, right? I was able to actually, boom, remembered. One of the cards was the Monarch Master Plan. So Monarch Master Plan, send the Prime, activate Prime, banishing the Master Plan, target his Rock of the Vanquisher, which is a dark. Then I am able to target it. He chains the quick play K9 card, which I think, oh god, it was right here. It was right at the top of my head. I can't remember it. I'll put it here on the screen so you guys can see it. But he chains that. I chain Stormforth, and then at the resolution, since I'm allowed to tribute summon, I tribute the werewolf, summon the Caius, and then I target a card to banish. And I think I did this incorrectly. I think that this game was winnable for sure, but it's just so much hindsight into knowing what I should do, you know. So I should probably, he had access to Vanquish Soul Trap, Dust Devil, or Snow Devil, and I just should have targeted that. He ended up bouncing back the whatchamacallit by using Chaining Mad Love. We almost break the board, man. We almost do it, but I forgot about Lupus that was in the graveyard, the prior. That was like the first thing he did. That was the first action he did. I forgot it. And we go into game number 2. Game number 2, brick. Literally, I can't even say anything about it. The deck finally, you know, one of the cool things about Monarch with the new support is a lot of times you open good hand, like amazing hands, consistent hands, and then you open like these hands that are like lose to 1 Ash, right? And I feel like a lot of decks are like that. Like you open some hands, you die to 1 hand trap. Doesn't make your deck bad, but you do lose to the 1 hand trap. But this hand was just unplayable. It was Domain, Aether, Erebus, Eidos. Not the little Eidos, the big Eidos. I can't play. And I sided in a bunch of, you know, like I wanted to go first because I knew like as soon as you get to the knowledge of what you're playing against, you know how in Monarch how to construct your board. So Domain wouldn't do too well against Vanquish Soul K9, right? Because you do that and they just Vanquish Soul you. And Vanquish Soul, though, is inconsistent. I hate that. I love Vanquish Soul. I hate a Holly Sue, I should say. I think Holly Sue is an insane card design, but I just didn't want to risk it. So I knew my win condition had to be literally Majesty's Fiend. Pretty simple, right? Get the Majesty's Fiend, but can't do it when you can't play. So that was a swift 2-0 for me. I got 2-0 pretty fast, and the guy was super pleasant, super awesome to play against. And then we go on into round number 3, which is against Labyrinth. Now, this is a bounty match. I cannot remember his name. I should look it up, but he's like either topped or won a few YCSs with the White Forest. He's a known White Forest player, and I lose dice roll again. I watch him set 4 cards, activate the field spell for Labyrinth, and I'm like, oh, another bad matchup. I was like, I am just like cooked. I go second, and I end up breaking everything. And my last tribute summon for turn, after I've cleared out everything, the only card he has set is a Big Welcome, but he activated the Trap Trick earlier for an Imperm and wasted the Imperm on an Erebus because I was just going to shuffle something back, so he could not activate the Big Welcome because of Trap Trick. And I literally, my last tribute summon was for Aether. Aether summoned out the Stalos from the deck is because I just remember summoning that out, and I already had an Eidos that had just, or an Erebus was already on field that ate an Imperm. So I had 28, 28, 28. That's game. Game 2, I got completely, I actually called Geneva because this was a war crime and it should not be allowed. But I opened my first 5 cards knowing that I'm going second. I ingrained in my head Pantheism, Revolt, Soul Exchange, Lightning Storm, and Master Plan. Yeah, those are the 5 cards. 5 spells. This hand is straight gas. Like, he puts up 2 monsters and sets 2 cards. I'm like, this Lightning Storm is going to cook these 2 cards. I'm going to be able to Soul Exchange to summon, you know, I'm going to be able to go Revolt, Soul Exchange, search 3 bodies. You know, I was like, this hand's gas. Standby phase. Anti-spell. Okay. And then he proceeds to Labyrinth combo me into an Eradicator and eat my whole hand. Brutal. Variants like that, you can't beat. Can't beat it. Sacky one-ofs like Floodgates and stuff like that exist in the game, and you just, there's nothing you can do. You got to draw the out, right? Now, knowing that he has that, I know that I cannot afford to let him go first. That entire, like, he would just cook me. Eradicator could potentially cook me really good. So I decided to go first, and I can't play. I literally draw Domain, a 1-of Domain. Domain, Aether, Erebus, Caius. What can you do? I mean, what can you do? Not much can be said. Before people, you know, you guys come in like, oh, Monarch's a bricky deck. You know what? Yes, it is. You're absolutely right. It can brick as per evidence, right? But it also has got some major consistency boosts. And that's the thing is like, okay, so like maybe 2, 3 out of, you know, like I think I did the math. It was like something like 2 out of 10 hands you should brick. Maybe the math is a little bit off, but it's right around that ballpark, right? So the fact that I literally bricked 2 times in like the game 2 scenarios back to back, or excuse me, not the game 2, but the winning game scenario, you know what I mean? Was wild. I was like, what? Okay, well, you know what? It is what it is. Like, I have accepted that Monarch does have some inconsistencies. However, it's just like one of those things. Can't beat it. I have like 3, 6, 9, like almost like 12 consistency cards in my deck, if not more, actually, to be able to play the game. If I don't see him opening hand, I can't beat it, right? So we move on into round number 4. Round number 4, I ended up playing against RB, lose the dice roll. However, I'm able to shoot a Fua at him, and he gives me like 3 draws, and then I proceed to activate Pantheism to draw. He drolls me, which is okay because I drew into a Monarch, but it was the Stalos, right? And Droll was his only card in hand. So if I'd have drew into Erebus, I'd have been a lot better. But he has the Brute Blues plus 3 of the names down there. I think it was the Saw, the Saber, and the Drill. So I just successfully used the cards in my hand to play through that. I established Domain, and I have to leave him 2 monsters on the field, sadly. But I'm like, okay, there's only 1 card in the entire RB strategy that they could draw to out this, and it's Regulus. Most lists play 1 Regulus, right? So I was like, I'm leaving it up to fate, leaving it to God, and essentially I should win if you don't draw Regulus. I cut his deck. Man, he's like, well, that's probably all she wrote, but I'll see what my next card is. And he draws return. He's like, oh, never mind. And I just knew. I knew exactly what he drew. So there's some debate, right? He could have drew, I think, like any of the higher level RBs and tribute summoned, right? But I knew where those were, and I put them, like RB cannon and all that stuff. Like I knew where all those were. So, I mean, I guess I didn't know what the cannon was. I knew where Saber was, so I guess there was a few cards he could have drawn. But sometimes people overlook the tribute summon factor, right? They like read the card and they don't read that if I only control tribute summon, so they don't get that part. So like essentially it was Regulus was the only like easy solution, right? He drews Regulus return, crashes into the Stalos, goes combo, and that's it. So again, what can you do, right? Like I guess I cannot touch his deck, right? Maybe I shouldn't have touched his deck. Maybe I should have not put my unlucky hands on it, is what that's telling me. So we go into the all-important game number 2. I have a lot of experience with RB. I know that my inboard of Domain by itself alone sometimes can just win. It struggles maybe against the Machina variant, but I didn't see any Machina cards, and I don't even know if he was on it, but from the Hansi experience, he didn't have it. I open literally, not Domain this time, but I open the Prime Monarch, the Perfection, Foolish Burial, and Tessera, and 1 unknown. I think it was Stormforth. So I can't play again. Like it's just wild, like just so insane. So I attempt to do something. So I had Foolish Burial for Erebus, pitch the Prime, add back Erebus, and then I set Tessera, set Perfection, and pass. And that's all she wrote. That's it. That's all she wrote. The RB player was able to play through that with the greatest of ease. And there's, like I said, not much more can be done. And there's nothing that could really, like I said, the deck is super consistent. If you guys have been part of the Versus series, you guys have seen all 6 episodes leading up to here. And it has literally, you've seen like maybe, I think 1 other time have I only opened unplayable. Almost every other time I've consistently been able to play the game. Or maybe I opened playable by 1 card, you know what I mean? Like Pantheism to draw 2 cards. If Pantheism like a crazy card. Even if they Ash Pantheism normally lets you play, right? So it's mostly Revolt. I've activated Revolt. If they had just Ash Blossom, I couldn't play. And there've been a few of those, but outside of that, it's only been 1 time, I think, on the entire episodes of the Versus series so far that I've opened unplayable and just had to pass. No, I think it's twice. Actually, I remember what episode back. I think it was twice it's happened. So 4 times out of a total of 6 episodes, multiple locals, online testing as well through DB, even though I don't touch DB anymore. Toxic community, toxic people. I swear, man, I not to rant on DB, but half the people who talk on there will never talk to you like that in locals, man. They're keyboard warriors. So a lot of testing on Omega and stuff like that. I've never opened unplayable like that so many times in a row. That's 3 times. 3 times I opened unplayable back to back to back. And not even like game 1s. My game 1s were remarkable. It was always the next game or the game 3s. It was always the mattering game where it's like, I wish I could. I don't care. That's the one thing about Yu-Gi-Oh! I think people get so caught up with is you want to win. I want to win, but also I would rather put up a fight and lose than just not be able to play the game, right? It just seems like I just sat down and wasted my time. And variance. I don't know what to put it. Maybe I could have shuffled better. I don't know what it is. The deck, like I said, is very consistent. If you're going to sit there and try to tell me, the deck is normally inconsistent, well, you're just wrong. Because literally the deck won a regional, and then that same player that won the regional went to another regional and was like 5-2 or something like that. Didn't top this regional, but he had like a very higher win rate. So, and his builds and my builds are like very like different. I wouldn't say very different. They're very much the same in a way. The cards that are different didn't matter. Like what I'm saying, I didn't brick on my choices of these other techs, right? Like I didn't brick on the Foolish Burial of Goods and the Black Goat Laugh. I didn't brick on my Fuas. In fact, Fua performed remarkable today. Like Fua performed phenomenal. But I bricked on just my generic engine, which are the same cards that this list and this player played. So like it's definitely just, I think, more so variance in the sense of like I can't even like throw it up to skill. Like I can't say like, oh, I need to get good. Well, I can't really get good when my deck doesn't give me cards to even try and play, you know what I mean? But anyway, enough of that rant. That was the regional run, a very poor regional run. I think I'll probably go back at it again in the future sometime with Monarch, but just due to the sake of the series, we're going to finally, it's that time, 6 episodes, or 6 or 7, I think we're on episode 7 episodes in, and I think it's time for good old Monarch here to go to the shelf and us to explore a new strategy to play. And well, I mean, yeah, you guys know it. You guys, if you guys are members, which also if you guys want to help support the channel, become a member. But yeah, members have already voted, and yeah, we already have a deck chosen for the next episode of the Versus series. So thank you guys so much for having come to watch these episodes, to enjoy this series, and take this journey with me with certain decks. So now we're gonna move on to something new, some greener pastures maybe, or an oldie but a goodie. And yeah, I hope you guys stay safe, stay healthy. This is Charles on Team COG signing out.